My wife left me over a lie her best friend invented, so I destroyed their lives and now they beg for mercy. What's up, Reddit? I suppose the most disgusting betrayal never comes from a declared enemy, but from the person who sits on your couch, drinks your beer, and pats you on the back calling you brother. I am writing this at 3 in the morning, looking at the city lights from the window of my new balcony, with a tranquility that took me months to build. I need to mentally archive this episode, leave an instruction manual on how manipulation and an inflated ego can destroy the lives of two miserable people, and how absolute patience is the most devastating weapon you can have in your arsenal. My name is Samuel. I am 28 years old and I am a dispatch coordinator at a national logistics company. My job has no glamour. I spend 10 hours a day in front of 3 monitors, tracking fleets of trucks, cross-referencing GPS coordinates, verifying delivery signatures, and resolving complaints from customers who claim their package didn't arrive when the system tells me exactly at what time, in what latitude and longitude it was delivered. In logistics, there is no room for assumptions or emotions. Numbers, records, and geographical locations are the only truth. If a driver lies to me about his route, I don't yell at him, I download his satellite log and expose him with hard data. That same square mind devoid of hysteria was what saved my life when I returned home and found that my marriage had been cancelled by a fraud of epic proportions. I had been married to Letitia for 3 years. She is 26 years old and worked as a sales consultant in an interior design showroom. Letitia was always a woman who needed to be the protagonist of everyone's movie. She fed on external validation, on compliments, on feeling that her life was a romantic novel. At first, her energy seemed charming to me, a counterweight to my silent and routine personality. I took care of the structure, I paid the rent for our apartment, the utilities, the boring bills, while she dedicated herself to decorating the house and maintaining her impeccable social image. And then there was Esteban, Letitia's inevitable, omnipresent, and always the victim, best friend. Esteban and Letitia had known each other since high school. He was a 28-year-old guy who worked as a junior financial advisor, but who was always short on money, wearing knockoff suits and faking a lifestyle he couldn't sustain. Esteban was always hovering around our relationship. Every time Letitia and I had a minor argument about who took out the trash or what movie to watch, she would run to tell Esteban, and he would take charge of inflating the problem, telling her that she deserved to be treated like a queen and that I was too conformist. I never paid much attention to him. To me, Esteban was just an annoying insect, a guy without the courage to get his own life, who lived off my wife's emotional leftovers. How wrong I was. The operational disaster occurred on a Friday afternoon, about 8 months ago. It had been a brutal week at the dispatch center. There was a transport strike and I had to reorganize 80 routes by hand. I arrived at the apartment at 7 in the evening, with my head throbbing and the only desire to take a shower and sleep. I opened the door and the silence hit me immediately. The apartment felt strangely hollow. I walked towards the living room and saw that some decorations were missing. I went to our bedroom. The closet was wide open. Half of Letitia's clothes had disappeared, along with her suitcases. On the bed, perfectly centered on the pillow, was a handwritten note. I approached, feeling a slight buzzing in my ears, and read it. Don't look for me. I know the whole truth. I saw the messages. I saw the photos. Esteban opened my eyes and showed me who you really are. You disgust me. A man who cheats on me with women from dating apps while I work doesn't deserve a second more of my time. Esteban is going to help me get the rest of my things out later. Talk to my lawyer. I was in absolute shock. Women from dating apps, messages, photos. I didn't even have active social networks, much less apps to meet people. My routine was to go from the logistics center to my house, eat dinner, watch a series, and sleep. The animal instinct of anyone would be to panic, call their wife 50 times, cry, go look for her, and beg her to listen. But my route coordinator brain went into emergency mode. There was a lost package, a falsified route, and a fraudulent delivery report. I needed the logbook. I grabbed my phone and called Letitia. Voicemail. She had blocked me. I called Esteban. The phone rang once and hung up. Blocked too. I went to the kitchen, took a glass of water, sat at the table, and opened my laptop. Letitia and I shared a cloud account where we uploaded house documents, receipts, and some photo galleries. I logged into the account. I checked the recycling bin and the recent files. There it was. A new folder called Evidence, created that same day at 10 in the morning from the IP address of Letitia's office. I opened the folder. It contained about 20 screenshots. They were images of WhatsApp conversations and a dating app. The profile had my name, my age, and a photo of me. A photo that I had taken of myself in our bathroom 3 months ago and that I had only sent to Letitia via private message to show her a haircut. The conversations in the screenshots were disgusting. It was me arranging meetups in cheap hotels, complaining that my wife was boring, and saying that I needed real women. I observed the screenshots with the same precision with which I look for errors in freight invoices. First, the battery icon and the network signal at the top of the screenshots did not correspond to my phone model. They had the exact graphic interface design of a different brand, coincidentally the same brand of obsolete phone that Esteban used. Second, I noticed the timestamps of the supposed messages that I had sent. There was a conversation dated Wednesday the 14th of last month, at 3:15 in the afternoon, where I was flirting intensely continuously for 40 minutes. I went to my logistics company's portal. I entered my employee credentials. I searched for my system activity logs from that Wednesday the 14th. At 3:15 in the afternoon, I was inside the underground vault of the General Archive looking for some lost boxes. That place is a concrete bunker. There is absolutely no cell signal or internet. My laser scanner records confirmed that I was scanning barcodes uninterruptedly from 2 in the afternoon until 4:30. It was physically, mathematically, and technologically impossible for me to have sent those messages. Esteban had fabricated all the evidence. He used a fake chat generator app, stole the photo I sent Letitia, probably spying on her phone when she was careless, and put together a toxic narrative to convict me of infidelity. And Letitia, in her infinite superficiality and her need for drama, believed him without even doubting it, without confronting me, packing up her life because her harmless best friend told her to. The level of manipulation from Esteban was twisted, but Letitia's level of disloyalty, assuming my guilt without a single prior trial, killed any feeling I had for her in that very instant. I didn't feel pain. I felt the calculating coldness of justice. But I needed the murder weapon. The screenshots were not enough. Letitia would say that I altered my own work records to cover myself up. I needed to catch Esteban with his hands on the keyboard. I remembered a crucial detail. A year ago, during a dinner at our apartment, Esteban's phone ran out of battery. He asked for my computer to check an urgent work email. He was always useless with technology. He logged into his email account and, in a hurry, clicked Save Password in my browser. I never deleted it because I completely forgot about it. I opened my web browser settings. I searched in the Saved Password Manager. There it was. Esteban's personal email. I clicked. I hacked his privacy without the slightest remorse. I entered his inbox. What I found was a goldmine of human rot. Esteban had dozens of emails with payment receipts for a premium app to generate fake chats, dated exactly 1 week before Letitia left me. He had sent himself the proofs of the montages to review them before showing them to my wife. But the universe is wonderful when it decides to ruin someone. That wasn't all I found. By reviewing his sent and received emails, I discovered that the poor, suffering, and in love Esteban, who was selling Letitia the idea of being her savior, had a colossal double life. There were emails from an event planning agency, banquet hall budgets, and catering contracts. Esteban was engaged to be married. He was going to marry a woman named Beatriz in 5 months, the daughter of a very heavy real estate businessman in the city. Esteban, the financial advisor who earned a pittance, had managed to cajole a millionaire woman. I read an email chat that Esteban had with a friend of his. "Friend, what are you going to do with crazy Letitia? Did she separate from her husband yet?" Esteban, "Yes, I already showed her the fake chats. She fell for it hook, line, and sinker. She's going to move in with me to an apartment I rented for her temporarily. I'm going to have fun with her these months before my wedding to Beatriz. Letitia is so desperate for attention that it's super easy to manipulate her. When Beatriz and I sign the marriage and I secure the father-in-law's money, I'll discard Letitia with any excuse and that's it. She's my long-term bachelor party toy." The bile rose in my throat. Esteban didn't love Letitia. He just wanted to win the trophy, steal my wife to feed his pathetic ego, use her as an object of entertainment, and then throw her in the trash when he signed his life contract with the wealthy heiress. And my wife, the one who thought she was so smart and superior, had jumped right into the meat grinder thinking she was landing in a bed of roses. I downloaded every email, every receipt, every original screenshot. I printed the chat where Esteban confessed that Letitia was his bachelor party toy. I saved everything on a hard drive and uploaded copies to secure servers. I deleted the trace of my connection in his email and logged out. I went to the kitchen, took a knife, and made myself a sandwich. I ate in silence in my half-empty apartment. The trap was ready, I just needed the rats to settle in to eat the bait. For the next month, I was a ghost. Letitia sent me the divorce papers through a very aggressive lawyer. I didn't answer the provocations. I signed the acknowledgement of receipt and passed the documents to my own lawyer with a single instruction: extend the response deadlines with technicalities until further notice. Through her lawyer, I found out that Leticia and Esteban were already openly presenting themselves as a couple. She was telling everyone around her that Esteban had rescued her from my abuse and my lies, and that she had finally found a real man who valued her. I let them talk. I let them build their castle in the clouds. The moment for the controlled demolition arrived at the hands of Leticia's family. Leticia's parents always held me in high esteem. They were traditional people and didn't understand why their daughter had left me so abruptly. Leticia, in her eagerness to legitimize her new life and clean up her image, organized a dinner at a very elegant restaurant to officially introduce Esteban as her new partner to her parents and older siblings. I found out about this because Leticia's brother, who I played soccer with on Saturdays, called me, embarrassed, to tell me about the situation and to say that he didn't agree with it. I asked the brother for a single favor: to tell me the exact time and location of that dinner. He, who hated Esteban, gave me the details without hesitation. That Saturday night, I dressed in my best suit. I took a thick leather folder, put all the printed evidence inside in chronological order. I arrived at the restaurant at 9 at night. It was a place with dim lights and separated tables. I saw Leticia's family at a large table near the window. Leticia was sitting next to Esteban, holding his hand, smiling with that unbearable arrogance. Her parents had long faces, visibly uncomfortable with the situation. I walked slowly towards the table. The first to see me was Leticia's father. His face paled. Leticia turned her head. Her smile froze and transformed into a grimace of defensive fury. "What the hell are you doing here, Samuel?" hissed Leticia, getting up from her chair. "I told you clearly to speak only with my lawyer. You are harassing me. I'm going to call security." Esteban stood up, pretending to be the protective alpha male, puffing out his chest. "Get out of here, Samuel. You've done enough damage to her already. Leave her alone," said Esteban, with a deep soap opera voice. I didn't raise my voice. My tone was so cold and calibrated that it cut the tension at the table like a razor blade. "Good evening, everyone. I apologize for the interruption," I said, looking at Leticia's parents. "Roberto, Mrs. Carmen, I have always respected you, and out of that same respect, I was not going to allow your daughter to build her life on a monumental scam. I am here to deliver the closing of my inventory." I threw the thick leather folder onto the center of the table, pushing aside the wine glasses. Leticia left me because she supposedly found cheating messages from me. "Messages that the good Samaritan Esteban discovered for her," I said, staring at my ex-wife. "Open the folder, Leticia." "I'm not going to touch your toxic lies," she replied, crossing her arms, although her eyes betrayed nervousness. "If you don't open it, I will," intervened Leticia's father, taking the folder and opening it. The silence in the restaurant seemed to deepen. Leticia's father saw the receipts for the fake chat app. He saw the comparisons of the phone battery icons. And he saw my satellite entry logs from the logistics company that proved my physical impossibility of having sent those messages. "What is this, Leticia?" asked her father, his voice trembling with contained anger, passing the papers to his daughter. Leticia took the pages. Her eyes moved quickly over the paper. The blood left her face all at once. It looked like her life support had been pulled. This is a lie. He faked it." "Esteban, tell him it's a lie," babbled Leticia, turning to her savior. Esteban was white as a sheet. His breathing was heavy. He tried to grab the folder to close it. "It's computer trash, Leticia, don't pay attention to him, he's desperate." I took a step forward and pulled the last piece of paper from the inside pocket of my jacket. I put it right in front of Leticia's eyes. "And so you can see how much the man values you, the one for whom you destroyed your marriage and treated me like trash without even asking me, read this. It's the email your savior sent his friend the week you left my house." Leticia grabbed the paper. She read it out loud, without realizing it, her voice breaking at every syllable. "She's my long-term bachelor party toy. When Beatriz and I sign the marriage and I secure the father-in-law's money, I'll discard Leticia with any excuse." Leticia's world imploded in real time. She looked up at Esteban, her eyes full of tears and visceral disgust. "Bachelor party toy? You're marrying Beatriz? You made up that Samuel was cheating on me just to use me for a few months before your millionaire wedding?" screamed Leticia, completely forgetting where we were. Esteban backed away, raising his hands. "Leticia, my love, it's not what it looks like. That email is taken out of context." Leticia's father stood up, grabbed the glass of water from the table, and threw it right in Esteban's face. "Get out of my sight, scum." The old man roared at him, attracting the stares of the whole restaurant. "Get out before I break your face right here." Esteban, humiliated, wet, and unmasked, said nothing else. He turned around and ran out of the restaurant like the absolute coward he always was. Leticia fell back into her chair, crying hysterically, covering her face with her hands. Her parents looked at her with a mixture of pity and profound disappointment. I adjusted my tie. "Oh, by the way, Leticia, that email about Esteban's wedding plans and your role as a temporary mistress, I didn't just bring it to you," I told her in a low voice, making sure every word burned into her brain. "I sent it exactly 1 hour ago to Beatrice's private email and BCC'd her father, the real estate businessman. Okay, have a great family dinner." I turned around and walked out of the restaurant, walking with a slowness and peace that was born in my bones. If you think this was the worst that happened to them, brace yourselves. Write in the comments if you want to know how the wedding of the year ended and what Leticia did when she found herself alone on the street, because the closing of this inventory was spectacular. First update. Exactly 1 week has passed since I left that restaurant table wrapped in a sepulchral silence and went out to breathe the clean street air. Many of you on Reddit asked me not to leave out any details about the shockwave my email to Esteban's rich fiancé generated. As a good dispatch coordinator, I like to deliver complete and unaltered reports. The level of destruction was absolute. It turns out that Beatrice, Esteban's fiancée, was not a naive rich girl who was going to cry in her room. She is the VP of operations at her father's real estate company. When she read my email on Saturday night and saw the receipts, the screenshots, and especially the text where Esteban treated her like a simple bank account that would allow him to keep playing with Leticia behind her back, the corporate and family machinery was set in motion with terrifying aggressiveness. First thing Monday morning, Esteban arrived at the financial office where he worked. He didn't know that Beatrice's father was one of the majority clients of that firm. According to what I heard through Leticia's brother, the father-in-law called the partners of the financial firm directly at 8 in the morning. He threatened to withdraw all his investment funds and his property portfolios if they didn't fire Esteban that very day for a lack of ethics and morality. At 10 in the morning, security escorted Esteban out of the office building with his belongings in a humiliating cardboard box. His fiancée canceled the nearly $100,000 wedding that was planned for a few months later. She demanded the return of the engagement ring, blocked him from all her contacts, and sent the security guards at her residential complex to throw Esteban's suitcases out onto the street. The poor, fake financial advisor, who dreamed of being a millionaire through marriage, ended up sleeping in a cheap motel, without a job, without a reputation in the financial sector, and without his lottery ticket. Leticia, for her part, took the brunt of the emotional blow. Monday afternoon, my phone vibrated. It was an unknown number. I answered out of pure work instinct. It was her. Her voice was completely distorted by crying. She sounded choked up, as if she hadn't slept for days. "Samuel, please don't hang up," sobbed Leticia over the line. "I was an idiot. Esteban brainwashed me. He manipulated me for months, told me you didn't value me, and when I saw those fake messages I felt like I was dying. I didn't want to leave you, I swear. Forgive me, please, let me come back home." I listened to her lament with the same coldness with which I listened to the weather report on the radio. "Leticia, you didn't leave because you were brainwashed," I answered her, keeping a flat and calibrated tone. "You left because the idea of your best friend idolizing you fed your massive ego. You chose to believe a liar without even giving me the benefit of the doubt because you liked the drama. Your ego was your downfall. But he tricked me too. He used me. He told me he loved me and I was just his toy," she yelled, trying to make herself the main victim of the fraud. "That's the risk you run when you build your life on other people's garbage. The inventory is closed, Leticia. My lawyer will contact yours. Okay, have a good life." I hung up the call and blocked the number. The satisfaction of shutting down her drama was immense. Second update. A month after the explosion, time runs its course and the logistical consequences of my ex-wife's bad decisions started to take their toll on her. When Leticia left me, she moved into a luxury apartment that Esteban had rented temporarily to use as their love nest before marrying the millionaire. But since Esteban lost his job and his accounts were in the red after losing his father-in-law's support, the apartment's landlord demanded a month's rent in advance or immediate eviction. Obviously, Esteban couldn't pay. Leticia had to vacate that apartment. Since her pride wouldn't let her return to her parents' house after the shame at the restaurant, and her consultant's salary at the interior design showroom wasn't enough to rent a decent place on her own, because she was used to me paying for all the utilities and food, she ended up renting a tiny room in a shared house with 3 noisy college students. Yesterday I went to our old apartment to finish packing my things. I decided I didn't want to keep living between those walls, so I canceled my lease and looked for a place closer to the logistics center. While putting away my books, I took my everyday knife to cut packing tape. Seeing the empty space made me realize how much Leticia's presence contaminated my peace. The house always had to be perfect for her photos, always full of people I didn't care about. Now, the emptiness was pure and oxygenating. In the afternoon, Leticia's brother called me. We maintained a good relationship because I always knew he was an honest guy. He told me that Letitia's situation at her job was hanging by a thread. It turns out that Esteban, in a fit of rage and desperation over losing everything, got drunk and went looking for Letitia at her job in the design showroom. He caused a scene at the store's entrance, yelling at her that because of her he had lost Beatrice, that she was useless, and that he wished he had never met her. The mall security guards had to remove him by force. The showroom manager gave Letitia a severe warning, telling her that one more personal life scandal during work hours and they would fire her. They are destroying each other, like two rats locked in a box with no food. I just watched the coordinates from my monitor. Third update. 3 months have passed. The waters haven't calmed, they just get swampier for those who don't know how to swim in reality. Today we had the mandatory mediation to sign the divorce papers. I arrived at the family court at 9 in the morning, dressed in clean clothes, rested, and serene. My lawyer was with me. 10 minutes later, the door opened. Letitia walked in. The visual shock she gave me was resounding. The woman who used to spend 2 hours every morning picking out the perfect combination of clothes and makeup for work looked like a ghost. She was wearing worn-out jeans, a shapeless blouse, and her hair was tied up carelessly. Dark circles marked her face and she had lost weight in an unhealthy way. The anxiety of living in a shared room, with debt, and without my financial safety net, had consumed her completely. She sat across from me at the mediator's table, flanked by a public defender who barely knew her name. She didn't dare look me in the eye for the first 20 minutes. The mediator read the terms of the separation of assets. There was nothing to discuss. She voluntarily abandoned the marital home, we had no children, and there were no joint properties. My savings were safe, as I managed to prove that the main account was used exclusively for my salary. Her lawyer tried to ask for a small financial compensation claiming she suffered emotional deception, but my lawyer presented the signed document where she waived any claim upon leaving with her suitcases. The mediator handed her the final document and a pen. Letitia took the pen. Her hands were visibly trembling. A heavy tear slid down her cheek and fell onto the paper. She looked up and looked at me. Her eyes were bloodshot, full of genuine but useless regret. "Samuel," she whispered, with a broken, almost inaudible voice. I was left with nothing. My parents barely speak to me. The noise in that shared house doesn't let me sleep. I have to choose between paying for the internet or eating meat. You were my peace. I destroyed it all for a monster. Please. I know you hate me, but tell me that someday you will forgive me. Begging for redemption in a public courthouse, in front of the man you threw in the trash for an invented whim, is the lowest point of human dignity. I looked at her with absolute calmness. I felt no anger, nor sadness, nor compassion. It was like observing a delivery report in the system, a simple completed procedure. Forgiveness is for people who make mistakes, Letitia. You made a conscious decision, I answered, my voice firm, without any hostility but without any warmth. You decided that my loyalty was worth less than a couple of screenshots from a fake phone. You signed your exit that Friday. Sign the paper and finish this. She lowered her head, defeated. She pursed her lips, scribbled her signature on the document, and quickly got up from the chair. She left the office almost running, leaving the pen behind. The mediator stamped the page. I am a legally divorced man. I left the building, took a deep breath, and went to buy a drip coffee. The taste of freedom is bitter, strong, and wakes you up immediately. Fourth update. 6 full months since my old life collapsed. I write this because I like to keep the logbooks updated until the package reaches its final destination. My life has stabilized completely. The logistics company where I work noticed my efficiency in resolving crises and promoted me to operations manager of the North Zone. My salary increased by 40%. With the extra money, I stopped renting and made the down payment for a small but modern apartment with a balcony. I furnished it to my liking, with dark colors, technology, and not a single frivolous decoration. It's my fortress. News about my antagonists reaches me sporadically through mutual acquaintances who love gossip. Esteban is a pariah in the city. The local financial sector is a closed circle, and Beatrice's father made sure that Esteban's name was synonymous with fraud. No one hires him to handle money. He had to sell his car and now works as a cashier at a sports betting branch in a dangerous neighborhood. The man who played at being a manipulative tycoon now spends 8 hours a day receiving wrinkled bills behind bulletproof glass. Letitia didn't have better luck. She was kicked out of the interior design showroom. She started missing work due to depression and constant phone arguments with the debts she accumulated. Since she no longer had a decent income to support herself in the world of luxury sales, she had to accept a position as a counter salesperson in a cosmetics store at a mall. Yesterday I had to go to that mall to buy a gift for my mother. I passed by chance in front of the cosmetics store. Letitia was there. She was wearing a generic black apron with the brand's logo. She was standing in front of a display, sorting lipsticks by color. She looked tired, gray, empty. A customer asked her a question grudgingly and Letitia lowered her head, answering with total submission. I stopped for a second about 10 meters away. She looked up and saw me. Our eyes met. I was wearing my street clothes, clean, relaxed, holding some shopping bags. Her face contracted. The impact of seeing that I was better than ever, while she was trapped in the purgatory she dug herself, was visible in her eyes. She made a slight movement, as if she wanted to approach or say something. I simply looked away as if I had seen just another stranger, turned around and kept walking. I felt absolutely nothing. She was a shadow. 5th update. A full round year of 365 days. This is my last entry, the digital signature that definitely closes the report on this Reddit forum. Closing the cycle is spectacular when you learn to let go of resentment and focus on building your own inventory. Management keeps me busy, but with set hours that I respect religiously. I started going to the gym, running in the mornings, and taking back the hobbies that Letitia always labeled as boring and meaningless. 5 months ago I met Andrea. She is an architect. We met in a coffee shop when we were both fighting for the last outlet to plug in our laptops. She is a brilliant, straightforward woman, with hands sometimes stained with graphite, and who hates unnecessary drama. She doesn't need to post photos on her social networks to validate her existence, nor does she seek other men to feed her ego. Our relationship is based on brutal honesty. If something bothers us, we say it to each other's faces. It's a mature, clean dynamic with no weird background noise. I have heard absolutely nothing from Letitia and Esteban in the last 4 months. They disappeared from my radar and I eliminated any route of information that would remind me of them. I understood that passive revenge is complete when the enemy ceases to exist in your mind. They are a routing error in my past, a loss already amortized by insurance. To all the men who suddenly find themselves with a suitcase at the door and accusations they didn't commit, listen to this. When a manipulative person tries to destroy you, their main tactic is to make you react. They want you to cry, to yell, to chase them, to beg for explanations. They want to feel like they have absolute control over your emotions. Don't give it to them. Cool your minds. Stop the engine. Turn yourselves into analytical machines. Look for the hard data, the records, the signatures, and the exact times. Protect your financial resources, talk to a lawyer immediately, and close all access doors to your private life. And when you have the whole truth in hand, don't make a spectacle. Deliver it to the right place, to the right people, and let the weight of the lies collapse the structure of the traitors on its own. Silence is the loudest weapon when you apply it against people who live off the sound of their own voices.